Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, long time no see. Thank you for being here with me this morning. It's been a while for different reasons. And then, yes, I realize I'm later today, but I had this is the box I was looking for. All of a sudden, I couldn't find it as I set it under something. I was like, wait a minute, we got to look at this today. So, yes, welcome to my home, welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. I hope you are doing well. I am over here. This light over here is not supposed to be on. There we go. That probably looks more like the grind. All right. So, hope everybody is doing great and done some gaming. I did. I played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons with my nephews, and I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of do an after action report. I got to calculate their experience points anyway. So great to see everybody. Okay, Bacon is here. Good morning. Charlie is here. Good morning. Michael is here. Good morning. Robert, we got Robert. Yes, so this is the original copy. Now, well, it is an original copy. It's not my original copy. I'm not actually sure what happened to my the copy that I actually played with when this came out. I think I owned it, It may have been one of my other friends. I know he played out of it, but this is a copy that I bought after the Great Purge, and I'm glad I did because it was a good one to. We enjoyed it playing with it when we were playing back in the 90s when it came out, and so it was really fun to be able to introduce Advanced Dungeons and Dragons to them through this. Hey, good morning. Oh, Stray is even. Good morning, Stray. Good morning. And Stray is even gifted a membership right here. Binge Thinker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stray. And Binge Thinker, if you're in the chat, say hi. Thank you very much, Stray. I hope everybody's feeling good. I'm feeling better. I've been I have been rather demotivated lately, so I've been trying to get motivation back. Wait. I saved them from the cat down the road. Wait. I misunderstood. Robert says combat map coming along. I've still got to try this out. Very basic random chance for party positioning near, medium, or far. Grid 30 by 30 collision detection. Goal is to integrate with combat functions. So far, so good. Hey, John. Welcome. John D says, oh, interesting. When on a YouTube ban, I can still comment on live streams. Didn't know you were banned. Hey, John. Nicholas. Okay, lots of people here this morning. Okay, so Nick, good morning. All right. So, yes. All right. So, first of all, any kind of announcements right here. Yes, I have been away. I lost my power. I was trying to get work done, especially on the Kickstarter page. And then it really threw a wrinkle in things when like the 48 hours I was supposed to sit here. So I wasn't going to be up the wine or anything like that. All of a sudden I was out of power. And then after power, I was still out of internet. So that really sucked. And that put me behind on a whole bunch of things. But also, so we did try an experiment last Wednesday. We didn't do the morning grind Wednesday, but we did do an experiment on another type of live stream I have been thinking about for like 18 months. I've been trying to decide whether or not I should be doing like current events and political analysis kind of live streams, because we did do that successfully. Like the kind of technique and methodology of our discussion, we did do that rather successfully when we were doing the OGL and when we've done other types of controversial things that are happening over here in the Geekverse. But the problem is that I don't care about following that. Well, first of all, there isn't nearly as much controversy going on in the gaming space. And if you're going to be doing like current events in tabletop gaming, well, basically you have to follow Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast all the time. And I just don't care about what's going on that much with what's going on with current Dungeons and Dragons. So I did open another channel called The Situation, and we ran a stream, which I think was very successful. And I have heard positive things about it's called The Situation with Heath Robinson. And we did a stream analyzing one of Trump's executive orders. And I've heard very positive things about it. So that was kind of a pilot test kind of show. And but I've heard positive things, so I may keep going. So we did work on that a little bit. And then also what else was going on? There was something else to say. That happened. I can't remember. But anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and do a breathe and sip, and then we'll get into Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I will tell you what happened when I took my nephews on a journey. And it was definitely time. It was time to break away from HeroQuest and go ahead and go to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So here we go. I've got my drink this morning, Mountain Dew Zero. So let's take 2 deep breaths, complete inhales. Deep inhales, complete exhales. I always say that wrong. And then take a sip of your favorite beverage. So here we go. And sip. John says, this is a very timely subject. Just played a game at a con last night. Bring your own character from any system, and there were some AD&D characters. All right, let's open this up. Because we have been over this this box. Man, I got so much stuff. I still have stuff sitting here to paint cultist miniatures here on my desk. And so I got stuff all over the place. But let's see if we can. Let's bring this over here. We've looked at this book, at this box before, and gone through it on the grind. This one also is the one that has the very strange explanation of Thaco. Thaco gets everybody going anyway. But then this book has the strangest, in the introductory book, has the strangest way to try to describe Thaco to somebody that I'd ever seen. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. The auxiliary camera here. And yes, I did have them using Thaco. All right, there we go. Sitting here with all the paints. I did have them using Thaco, and I thought that was amusing. So they learned about armor class where smaller numbers and negative numbers are better. And we're also using Thaco. So this is the book that we started using right here, or the box we started using. I had the miniatures painted up. I used some of the Hero Quest miniatures for proxies, for proxy miniatures for bad guys, but I had these painted up. I was painting these up when I was painting up the Dragon Strike guys. So they had miniatures there. This book comes with, or this box, I keep saying book, this box comes with pre-generated characters. And I definitely wanted to do pre-generated characters with them because I didn't want to go through character generation. We didn't have a whole lot of time to play anyway. I was only trying to play for about 2 or 2.5 hours. And so I didn't want to go through character generation. And like I said, to me, that isn't like playing the game anyway. Bacon says, I just really, really do not like derived stats. Thaco is the worst of it all. But the rest are just as awful. I'm going to talk about how I might change that up because I'll tell you some of the things that went well with this and things that did not go well with this. I do really love these pre-generated characters as far as their look and stuff like that. Because, like I said, to me, creating a character is not playing the game anyway. And I wanted to sit down and play the game. And they're used to just picking up characters from the box anyway because they played Hero Quest and they played Dragon Strike as well. So, how old are I know someone's going to ask, so how old are the nephews? So the nephews are, 8, 10, and 13 right now. I think it's 8, 10, and 13. No, it can be fun. I think it's its own activity. I mean, if I sat down and I said, "Hey guys, you want to play Dungeons and Dragons?" and then all I do with the boys is sit here and try to get a character done and try to explain all of character creation to them. At the end of that, I don't think they would have actually played Dungeons and Dragons. And likewise, I always say that, like, if everybody gets together to play any kind of role playing game, and all we do for the first session that we were supposed to be playing, all we do is make characters. I would say we didn't actually create characters. Yes, creating characters is. I mean, I've certainly done it for fun, but if I sat down with them to play Dungeons and Dragons and all we did was create characters, I don't think they would have had a good time. So, but anyway, I really like these characters, and actually, we played these characters quite a bit when we were first playing as well. So this Silverleaf Half Moon here is a fighter wizard. So I didn't really even go into multi-class and what that means. The youngest one played the fighter wizard, and he likes that one. He plays the elf. He actually always plays the elf. He plays the elf in Hero Quest. He played the elf in Dragon Strike, and so now he's playing the elf here in Intro to D&D. And this elf is very much like the elf in Dragon Strike. So this is the ranged elf, got the bow. The elf in Hero Quest doesn't start off with a bow, but is also a spellcaster. So he took that one. Interestingly, the middle nephew, who typically plays the dwarf, actually took Beldar the Brave, so he became a human fighter right here. And then the oldest one, who either played the barbarian or the fighter rather in Dragon Strike, and then the wizard in Hero Quest took Devlar Iron Fist to be the dwarf. So this allowed us to get playing. So we had fighter wizard and then 2 fighters that were going with us. Nobody played Lordan. I played Lordan. Lordan was one of my characters for a long time. I don't remember anybody playing Slinker. And I can't remember if I played Morganth or not, or if somebody else did, or if I'm just misremembering. So that's what they took with them. And I did do a quick, hey, let me describe what you're looking at right here. So I showed them, okay, here are your basic statistics. They already knew like feat of strength and feat of dexterity from Dragon Strike. So they kind of understood that idea about making some type of ability check. And I told them sometimes you're going to be rolling high, sometimes you're going to be rolling low. You've got a movement here. And then also saving throw. Now, I had forgotten when I was looking this up, or when I was actually reviewing this in the dark by lamplight, that the starting characters in here don't have more complicated saving throws. They just have saving throw. So that's fine. We just have saving throw here. And actually, that's also the way that it is in the Galantry box set. The Galantry box set has the characters that are created or pre-created as well. And it just uses saving throw. So saving throw, that's fine. And then went over here to Thaco and showed them what that was. They've got damage over here. Armor class. We talked a little bit about armor class. Really, I mean, I did the rundown here. They asked some questions. Like spells per day over here, and wanted to know, oh no, wait a minute. So like, of course, at first they might have thought, or actually the middle one did think, okay, we're talking about actually physical days here and not days at the, not days in game. So we talked about that, different abilities and stuff, but it actually didn't take very long at all to kind of explain their characters to them and what we were doing. Only about 10 minutes. So we were, playing within about 10 minutes. Here's some of the notes. I want to make sure that I've got like their characters. Of course, they're very concerned about treasure or dividing up treasure. Anytime you find any type of coins or something, okay, we got to divide this up right here. Yeah, they'll be there. Yeah, that will come later. Creating their own characters will come later. I told them that I was kind of expecting somebody to die. I told them, now this is not like the other games where and expect that a character might die and then you'll start a new character. But we'll talk about how that goes. But generally speaking, these guys are pretty robust. Silverleaf over here has 7 hit points. Devlar Iron Fist has 12, and Beldar the Brave has 10. So that also kind of surprised me a little bit, because after coming off of the OSE discussions and everything like that with so few hit points, I guess that was still in my mindset, or that was still my mind. That was still my mindset. But these guys were more robust, which I guess is good. I mean, I think was good, but I was like, all right, you may get killed here. Exactly. I'm trying to make some core memories here. And of course, we have core memories with Hero Quest. My problem was we had one more game of Hero Quest to play, but what we probably should do, since it's a game of the extended family, is invite the nephew, the cousins, and like my aunt over as well to play the final showdown in the Hero Quest core box. I think they learned everything they can learn from Hero Quest. And of course, we can still play, but one of the things was that they've got so much gear now in Hero Quest that they were completely capable of making up for bad strategic decisions, because they have so much gear and stuff. So yes, but as far as the RPG goes, these are the core memories. Okay, so we do have this. I showed this to them and was like, hey, this game comes with this right here. You've probably never seen it before. This is some ancient technology right here. The audio CD. And actually, this was one of the reasons to buy this earlier. I mean, we were already playing when I got this originally. We were already playing Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, out of the Player's Handbook. So we were very familiar with it. But the audio CD, we thought, oh, well, that sounds pretty cool. And we like box sets anyway. So the CD was one of the reasons that we did this, and this is one of the reasons that I wanted to start with this as well. So we had a little speaker on the table that I could hook my phone to, because who in the world can play a CD anymore? I can't, especially portably. But fortunately, all of that, someone did upload all of those audio tracks to YouTube, and you can just play right through in a playlist. And of course, the playlist is right there. So, you need it out of order. You need random access to it. So we had that sitting there, and I did try to play that. Some of them are actually a little bit too long. I didn't play the intro for them. I tried to be aware that, hey, like, this has really got to move. I was really trying to play a game that would move. And like, okay, listening to 4 minutes or something, of that wasn't going to work. The town, we didn't spend a whole lot of time in town, but there is a town card right here. And then in here, okay, so we were using a map. I'm not going to unfold this right here. I'm going to show you in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But this does come with a map, which is very much like Dragon Strike-like. So they were familiar with that. At first, they were like, and this does have squares on it, but you can tell these are really hard to tell where a square is. And the squares don't align with the floor, like it does in Hero Quest or something. So the lines are real light. But I told them not to worry about that too much. And they very quickly got the hang of, okay, moving a certain distance when in combat or when it matters. And then, being able to go to a different door, doing other things when it doesn't matter. So, like when you're not in combat. So they got a hang of that. I used my main AD&D screen. I didn't use that one. Yes, is that the 90s AD&D second edition with the advanced proficiency rules? Yes, that's the one that I played. That was my first kind of game. Now, this box doesn't have advanced proficiency rules in it, but the core game does. I mean, this is the intro box. So, one thing that I quickly found was the case was that I didn't think this was all that well organized. One of the first things that I had to find out was getting the fighter wizard his spells. That's a little bit of an issue if you're making pre-generated characters. I kind of want everything to be pre-generated. I kind of wanted to hand these out and then let them just immediately start playing. But for some reason, even if you're doing a pre-generated character, you're not, they don't give you your spell. So I was like looking on here, trying to figure out what spell it was, what spell he had, or spells. I couldn't remember. I didn't think about that as I was kind of prepping this, because I was like, okay, casting spells. A table on the other side shows how many spells you can take on an adventure. The higher your level, the more spells you can take. Each day you can change your spells and get back any that you have cast. Pick your spells from the wizard spell book. Well, see, this said, hey, Tomocrat. The Munchkin decks. I haven't actually played Munchkin. I think maybe I have. If I have, it's been once or twice a long time ago when I was hanging out with some friends. But yeah, we have not gotten into Munchkin. But this is what this says. This is the kind of thing that I don't like jamming up game time, because I was like, okay, so spell casting. It says pick your spells from the wizard's spell book. And the wizard's spell book is italicized. Write them down on a separate sheet of paper. As you cast a spell, cross it off. You can take the same spell more than once so that you can cast it more than once a day. I think that's an error, because I was like, well, what is the wizard spell book? Now, I mean, I know that the wizard has a spell book in game, in universe, but this says pick your spell. This should be talking to the player. Pick your spells from the wizard spell book, italicized. Like, that seems like something I'm supposed to be looking for as a player, and it's just not there. So I hated to having to take time. I felt like I should just be able to figure out what the spell was. I'd rather just have his spells written there. Like, why not just put that on the card? And so there is nothing in here called the wizard spell book. And so immediately then I was like going around to trying to figure out what to do with the wizard. I couldn't find it. It says wizards, and so this is their player's handbook. This is their player's handbook. And it says, wizards may cast spells according to the table below. The table shows how many spells the wizard can take on an adventure. Each day, the wizard can change his spells and get back any that he has cast. Pick the spells from the wizard's spells section of this book. That makes a little bit more sense. As a wizard casts a spell that he has picked on the day, he loses that spell. A wizard can take the same spell more than once per day and cast that as many times, multiple times in a day. For example, a second level wizard could pick Magic Missile twice for his daily spells. So actually, this might not even have addressed spell book, because I was in the mindset of AD&D, and I was like, okay, so how many spells does he have in his spell book? And but we know he can only take one of them on an adventure. That's kind of vague. But I think if I were reading this for the very first time, I would think that the wizard kind of casted spells like clerics. So maybe since this is the introductory rules, it's not the full rule set, but maybe what it was expecting was for the wizard to be able to pick one spell vaguely to go on an adventure with. And the spells are Charm Person, Detect Magic, Enlarge, Reduce, Feather Fall, Hold Portal, Identify, Light, Magic Missile, Read Magic, Shield, Shocking Grasp, and Sleep. And so being frustrated with not being able to find how many spells he was supposed to have in his spell book, which might be just one, I just gave him one spell and said, hey, you've got Magic Missile. And I do wish that I had that as a card. So actually, I want to take some notes here. My first note is that pre-generated characters should be complete. Now, maybe it is complete if in this version of the rules you're not trying to actually have a spell book and you're not differentiating between spells in a spell book and spells that are memorized. But I'm going to say as a note here that I think pre-gen characters should be complete. So that maybe that's some vagueness because of the more introductory nature of the rules. And also, I wanted a spell deck. I like using cards anyway, and they're used to using cards when they're playing Hero Quest and Dragon Strike, and so I all of a sudden immediately felt their absence when I was. Yeah, Michael says use spell cards. They're easier to shuffle though, and kids understand Pokemon and Magic. Yeah, I really want some spell cards because I wanted to say to select. Okay, you got Magic Missile. Okay, well then here is Magic Missile, your spell card, because that's the way they understand it. I mean, I like it. I like using cards. So I was like, okay, Magic Missile, it's over here in this book, and so I read this out to him. Range 180 feet. I'm having to deal with the wizard while the other two are sitting there. Duration instant, one creature, none. And I said, a glowing bolt of energy flies from the wizard's finger and automatically hits the target. The wizard must be able to see the target to hit it, but the missile curves around any obstacles to get to the target. The magic missile does 1d4 plus 1 points of damage. First and second level wizards fire 1 magic missile. Third and fourth level wizards fire 2 magic missiles. Fifth level fire 3. I skipped all that. I was like, okay, so you just fire 1 magic missile, right? All missiles must be aimed at the same target. So, I mean, magic missile seems to be the one that he's going for. Stray says, back in the day, the DM had more control on one-shot games, so I think the DM got to choose the starting spell that best fits the start of your game. Yeah, now that's true. And also, I think that probably, if I'm reading the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, I think the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, does pick the spells. So I was prepared to do that, but actually I was looking there going, so wait a minute, how many spells am I supposed to give him in his spell book versus how many he is able to memorize? I didn't remember that, but so that tripped me up. I could do that. there are a few things I want to do. Time is always an issue, but I'm kind of using this also as an experiment in, running the game design. There were some other experiments that I wanted to run, but I decided to not do that. I went through this book and I was like, let me just run this as it is for them before I start tinkering too much. Just buy a bunch of index cards and teach them to take notes. Yes, that's the other thing. Now they do take notes. That was some of the they do that. And actually, so that was some of my notes from the game master. But like that was, he erased a bunch of stuff. But like this was the youngest notes. Oh, so he wrote down here. So he's got 173 gold, 4 silver. They didn't understand silver. The first time, this is the first time they ran into something other than gold coins. That was funny. The look on their faces when they searched I don't know, some kind of monster or something like that, and there was silver coins in their pouch. They were like, silver? Like, what's that? Like, and he was like, do we even need to keep up with that or something like that? Now they do love the coins. And so I really want some, especially for them, since they love treasure, I really want to get some coins to keep up with their treasure. They would love that. I mean, they love treasure. So even something as simple, something as elaborate as something like campaign coins, and I have some, they would think that was really cool to actually be handed coins. But even I was thinking just going and getting some poker chips and spray painting them, spray painting them gold, silver, and bronze, and just having some that are like that with stickers on them that say how many. And if I use slot-based encumbrance, put something like slots on the back, they would also like, rather than writing it down, they'd like being have like some poker chips that have their treasure on there. So they did learn what silver was. But yes, but they do take spots. So he now I know, the oldest one was taking his character notes in a notebook that he had, which I thought was pretty cool. He had a new notebook, and then he even took a picture of it at the end. So I don't have his notes. I'm concerned about not having the middle one's notes. I hope we find it. But like this one, the youngest one erased. That's what I was tracking hit points on. I know I can rebuild what kind of treasure Beldar's got. But this is where he was tracking magic missile. And then he ended up with fireball and slow. This is another note. Now I may have screwed something up, but it went well. A happy accident, but I may have been technically wrong. What level is knock? Oh, knock is a 2nd level spell. Okay, so one of the Michael says poker chips next to be playing Savage Worlds. Well, they tried, the youngest one, they're all smart, but the youngest one was like how many? I told him, okay, so 10 silver coins to a gold coin. And so he started to just do the conversion. But the oldest one called him on that. He was like, no, they're still silver coins. You got to track that. Chip Cave is a great company. You might remember the chess game I made with chips I got from them. Chip Cave. Okay, I looked that up. Because like there's the plastic ones that like have the groove probably aren't going to be as cool. But on the other hand, I don't need them to be really expensive chips because I'm going to paint them and do something else to them. So yeah, so I'll look at that. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So, but this was another issue that didn't come up, that came up that I wasn't prepared for as the game master. I'm kind of also learning how to game master this kind of thing again. Was that in an intro adventure, they need to be able to use what they get. what they find, because they did find, and I liked that, that, okay, he's got one magic missile. He's also the bow guy. I was having him keep track of his arrows over here. That's what he ended up erasing it over here. But he was keeping track of the number of arrows that he shot down this side right here, and then his hit points over here on this side. So, Stray says, I love it when you have a new player and notice they have a pen in their hand making up their sheet. Yeah. But this adventure has spell scrolls in it, which I thought was good because he gets one magic missile. Okay, then that's the least magical of all the different characters that we played like this. One magic missile spell, but he did find some spell scrolls. But then at the very end, so he found Fireball and Slow. And I'm not sure in this introductory box that you're supposed to be like copying spell scrolls like into your spell book anyway. So I did talk to him a little bit about that, but I was like, wait a minute, what level are those? And Fireball, Fireball is a 3rd level spell, and Slow is a, where is Slow? See, finding these spells is even I'm looking down here. The 2nd edition AD&D does the horrible thing of arranging all the spells by level in the book, like 1st level spells right up here. So if you don't already know what level the spell is, it's hard to find. So Slow, okay, 3rd right here. It's down here as well. So he found scrolls of 3rd level spells and 2nd level spells knock, and he used knock to great effect, actually. He ended up with a ring +1 as well, and we might have to re-adjudicate that. But I was like, oh, okay, so he got these scroll spells, but that's a 3rd level spell. Like, is he really not supposed to be able to cast that until he's higher than 3rd level, like 5th level? He found these scrolls that he's not going to be able to use until 5th level. Now, of course, that's fine in certain styles of play, of course, but for an introduction with the kids, like, he should be able to use the stuff that he finds, I feel like. But in general, organization was a problem. So dungeon and finding some stuff, especially as I was trying to remember stuff about AD&D. But we played this. This is a good little adventure, especially since it has the map. This is what the map looks like right here. So this is the Tomb of Damara. And basically in this adventure, okay, you're hanging around an inn and the wizard gives you calls you up to his tower to give you the quest. So basically the idea says, I'll be brief and straight to the point. This is the wizard talking. 2 days ago, the elven lord Terran set off on a secret message. And actually, when we said the elven lord Terran, the youngest one went, Terran? Wait a minute, that's a human. I was like, yes, true, Terran, but that's spelled differently. He plays a lot of StarCraft, so he was like, Terran, that's a human. I was like, no, it's spelled differently. Terran is an elf lord here. So 2 days ago, the elf lord Terran set off on a secret mission to the ruins of Damara's castle. Well, he's not returned, and I fear he has come to a foul end. Before he left, he said something about an ogre and an orb, a singing orb. If the orb falls into evil hands, it will be the death or slavery for everyone in the realm. For this, I'll pay you 100 gold coins and not a penny more. So they accept this quest. I got him turned around saying that, okay, this is in this castle here. This used to be a good guy's castle, and he had this orb of dragonkind, but now he's dead and has hidden the orb of dragonkind someplace within this castle complex. It has been taken over by Bone Gnasher the ogre, who with his minions are searching for the orb. Terran the elf, who is a good guy, went to try to find the orb inside and never returned. I could do that. You could always increase chance of failure if they attempt to cast a spell from a scroll that's higher than they can cast normally. Yeah, I wish that information was more readily at hand. Like when I was like, because I didn't even think about that with knock, and I'm glad I didn't. Because like when it's used effectively, I like for it to work. So okay, so they approached the castle, came up here and really got started right here. Opened the door, and inside here were two gnolls. So their first AD&D fight. Yeah, nice to know that the value of life of every person in the entire kingdom is only 100 gold coins. Well, if you haggle with him, he will pay up to 200. So so this was the first. Now there's supposed to be stuff about this rubble in here. So they walk in here, they get the door open. This is an active kind of castle situation. I didn't worry about lighting. I started to I started to do a torch timer or something kind of like Shadow Dark, but I decided to not do that. Maybe we'll get to that. I told him that we would be adding things on as we played, but we went right in here to fight these gnolls and burst in. Gnolls inside. There's supposed to be an environmental impact here with that rubble, and that was on me. I didn't really remember to read all that. Because it does say, you'll notice that some of the squares in this room are marked with an X. These squares match the ones filled with rubble on the player's map. These spaces aren't safe. Don't tell the players that. These spaces are like traps. The rubble hides holes in the floor. If the thief spins around to search any of these squares or for traps, his character automatically notices the weak floor in the marked squares and can warn the other heroes. If they enter one of these squares, make a saving throw, and if you fail, you slip and take 1d4 points of damage. So we fought these gnolls, but that was actually one of the first kind of major problems that I had as far as the game went. And it had, hey, Doc Flamingo, great to see you. Is that I want better combat. I was trying to give them, the excitement and descriptions of what was going on. And I know that actually, Bacon, I just watched your latest video about descriptions and telling people what happens and all of that. And I thought that was a great video. But I watched that after this, but I was trying to work on that kind of thing. But then basically, but of course, this game comes down to a die roll on a D20, and they jump in and everybody misses. They rolled low a lot. Yes, this is the game report on Playing with the Nephews. Exactly. Hey, so good to see you, Brett. They rolled low. I mean, they rolled low a lot, especially early in the game. It's like, all right, everybody, we're going in to fight these gnolls. Everybody, round the table, roll to hit. Everybody misses. Okay, the gnolls also miss. Okay, everybody round the table again. So, I mean, that sticks out to me, and it's something that I have been trying to solve and have not done it yet with dice mechanics. But to me, it does show the weakness of the dice mechanics again, the D20 dice mechanics. And as much as maybe we have something about dice jail. I actually reached over at one point, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I reached over to the youngest nephew's, dice sitting there in the dice tray. We got dice trays. I made those, and they used them, the ones that we made. And I rolled it, and I rolled like a 17 or something. And I was like, "Hey, just like that. See, just do that." So, I don't like that. I got to fix that. So as much as I would love to continue with the old school Thaco, just because it's old school, and I would love to have that like experience and know what that is, and low armor class and Thaco and all that, man, my feeling just greater in general, like when something goes on like that, that something needs to happen, that there's a problem if you're in a fight to the death and everybody rolls and whole rounds go by that nothing happens. I mean, to me, I feel like that is a design flaw. Now, I mean, of course, I've played a lot like that. I mean, I guess I remember that in AD&D. Now, turns go by faster in AD&D. I guess that's why maybe sometimes it wasn't as big a deal. In 5th edition, you're sitting there so long but to have somebody else take their turn. Turn length. Bacon was talking about turn length on his channel as well when they're talking about like the new 4D role playing and stuff like that, and how quick turns are best. I do like quick turns because if everybody's going to miss, then it is better for those turns to have gone by fast rather than excruciatingly slow while you've got a million different special powers and stuff. And in fact, I'm really glad that we're not playing something that like 5th edition or something where the boys are starting off with a whole page full of powers. Yeah, no, it can, Robert. I mean, you're completely right. That can happen in Hero Quest too. Yeah, it can. Nobody hits. It does. I guess I was having less of a problem with it there. So that's Mike says, I think the swing and miss experience is why some newer RPGs are going with no to hit rolls. Michael says how combat works in D&D is one reason I moved to other games. So I think they had a good time, I mean, overall, but man, I was expecting the, I was expecting, okay, I need some excitement. I need something to matter, especially, all right, this is your first ever AD&D fight. We're going into this. So Brett says, I don't play and maybe just remove the miss aspect, but the roll is weak. I don't really know how it truly works. So like, so these gnolls have an armor class. These gnolls have an armor class of 5. So where am I? And oh yeah, this is AD&D. So that actually, I noticed that the elf has a Thaco of 19 with his bow, but 20 with the spear or the knife that he's whatever he's using, the quarterstaff he's using or something for a melee weapon. I thought he had a knife or something. Okay, well, whatever. The quarterstaff here. So your Thaco means to hit armor class 0. Okay. So to hit armor class 0, and 0 is a really good armor class. The lower the armor class, the better. If you are wearing no armor, like this guy, you have an armor class of 10. If you have a really, really good armor class, you'd have an armor class of 0. And I think the best possible armor class is armor class -10. Because in order to figure out how to hit, you take your Thaco and you subtract the opponent's armor class. So this elf right here fighting with his quarterstaff is Thaco of 20 minus the Gnoll's armor class of 5, 15. So that tells you your to hit number is 15. So that's a 25% chance of hitting. And so it's very possible, and the other characters have something similar. In fact, I think all of the characters start with a Thaco of 20. It's very possible to go around the table and have everybody roll, between 1 and 14 on a 20-sided die. That just happens a lot. This is helpful commentary. I'm leaning towards you only control the PCs in combat. All right. Joe says, let's see what Joe says. Joe says, AD&D though was before simple hit or miss. Those are 1-minute combat rounds. You exchange swords, glance off their armor, failing to penetrate their defense. It's been still get hiring. I mean, yes, I know. But I find, okay, we're going to do description and stuff like that. Somebody misses, you can give them a great description. But and then we're moving on to the next person. but by the time you're at like 4 consecutive misses, like it's like okay. To me, the description starts getting skipped because it's not mechanically significant. But see Bacon's discussion on the narrative aspect. Doc Flamingo says auto hit is lame. Grow up. bonus hit points. Okay, I want to fix hit points too. Bonus hit points in D&D. I mean, I think that for this game, it was perfectly reasonable. These guys are a little bit hardier than I was expecting than like an OSR game. Mike says bonus hit points in D&D are also a mistake in my opinion. It drags out combat with little value to the story the combat is telling. So I got to figure out how I'm going to fix that. And that's kind of what I was trying to work with Faded Edge mechanics. And so now I'm wondering, is there some way? And we got kind of caught up on all the dice mechanics a lot when designing that. But that was one of the core things I was basically trying to figure out. Like how do we make everything significant? And this is of course designed long before the idea of because you can swing, you can miss, you can that. If the swords come out, how do we make sure that everything is significant? Because I would have much preferred to have had that opening combat here be a much higher energy kind of combat. Now, they enjoyed it. I mean, it worked. I mean, the whole session overall, but like when that goes out, when things go out, they are, when the swords are drawn, I wanted that to hit harder, I guess. So if I have time to think of some kind of replacement system, or if you guys know of one, well, yes, but I also had a little bit. I didn't fudge dice rolls that much. I know I did give them like when they all missed a couple of times later in the game. I rolled but gave them a free round to try again, basically because that was. But especially I was concerned because I thought, oh, these guys have like 4 or 5 hit points, but they had more. So there wasn't, and they survived. They did survive. Nobody died. And I didn't, and that wasn't like through GM fiat. I was going to kill one of them if it came up. But it really didn't. Now I do too. I prefer armor to be armor. If you hit but fail to penetrate the armor, you at least feel like you've done something. I agree. I'm a big fan of armor as damage reduction, which is something I'd like to introduce. Yeah, and I also tossed it to them. They would get violent too. So we did have some violent description. I started off with like, all right, let's talk about what's going on. When they were fighting these gnolls over here. They didn't fight them to the death. Like I described, like the stab that one of them, stab underneath the breastplate of one of the gnolls and going into his gut and the blood running. And one of the youngsters was like, ugh. But then they would start that too. And when they killed something, I'd let them describe it. So they got into that too. The middle one, it's like, okay, you dropped him. What do you do? And he was like, well, you get him or something like that. And he was like, I cut his nose off and snot starts running down his face. I was like, well, all right. Okay. How about that? So, all right. So, I need to calculate their experience points. By the way, this is another thing that I don't like. Things I don't like. That is calculating XP. Because I feel like at the end of this, at the end of this, I need to know what their level was. I wanted to just know that. And of course, in AD&D, you don't. So I thought while we were looking at this, I might as well do this. This says that these gnolls, so there were 2 gnolls that they defeated. That doesn't necessarily mean killed. So I'm going to give them the XP just because, if they were defeated, not necessarily killed. 35 XP each. So that's 70 XP, total that they've got here. So the gnolls were worth 70. So the second gnoll, once the first gnoll was killed, the second gnoll begged for his life. Yeah, that's when you teach them to take notes of what they've collected and killed. Yeah, I probably should have had them marking what was killed. They didn't need a mapper because we were on this map. But yeah, or something like Warhammer Quest that has you picking up like an experience token or something, when you kill it right then, would also help. So that it doesn't have to be calculated later. But some of the best moments in the game were definitely not combat related, for sure. They killed one of the gnolls. They had well wounded the other one. I think he was down to 1 or 2 hit points or something. And then that gnoll begged for his life. And and they accepted. They didn't kill him. Sometimes they would come close to just, okay, do I just go ahead and kill something that's there and threaten something? They tried to extract information from the gnoll. And so the gnoll told them something about the ogre and where he might be and what he was doing. And then he staggered, wounded, out of the door. So Gnoll's defeated. And after a discussion with the wounded gnoll over here, the wounded gnoll left the castle. So that part went well. That's something like different colored poker chips of XP with poker values on them. With some values on them, something like that would also be good, because that would also I would like that with some kind of tangible reward right there, because the XP to them is kind of opaque at the moment. But if you did something, it would give them something other than treasure. They're very caught up on treasure, and I know I was too at that age, especially. I remember playing Hero Quest, and the best part was the treasure deck and all that. But yeah, being able to hand something out with XP would also be nice, I think. Yes. Okay. So that was great. Like I said, actually, and that was a part of that was actually one of the most fun right there. It was actually kind of role playing with that gnoll who was begging for his life and trying to escape. Then they went over here to area 2, and this was one of the great parts of the game right here, because they handle these kobolds. Inside there are these kobolds, the kobold guards. Read aloud. The room is small and filled with junk. Most of it is pushed close to the walls, leaving a clear space in the center of the room. Squatting in the clear space are 6 little creatures holding drinking horns, almost bigger than they are. They look very surprised to see you. Trying to be brave, the creatures threaten you. They would listen at doors. They heard some discussion of these kobolds that they could barely make out. And of course that also had one of the tracks. So track number 10 that got played, and they heard the kobolds inside. Let's see. So Robert is advocating for generous attack modifiers, and yeah, I kind of want. So he may come back. I have some ideas about how to integrate this with future adventures. So the kobolds were in there. We got they can attack the kobolds. Gives options for retreating or surrendering to the kobolds or talking to the kobolds, which they did. They went in there and they started to talk to the kobolds. And this says, if the heroes talk to the kobolds, play the part of the leader and say, well, we got nothing to say to you unless you make it worth our time. What you got to make a deal? And the kobolds want a bribe of either 10 gold pieces total or more ale. The ale can be found in area 4. If the players meet the kobold's price, play track 11 on the CD. So they had 16 gold coins from the gnolls. So they had enough gold to to bribe these guys. We role played this, and like I said, this was one of the more interesting ones. So it's, the success is the kobold, and this was part of what was played. The kobolds are willing to accept the bribe. The leader says, "Give us the money, then, just all in coins. Loyalty's kind of stupid when there's money involved. You promise you won't tell anybody we told you. The hobgoblins have the elf on the other tower room just across the entranceway from us." So they bribed the kobolds. So I'm going to give them the experience points for the kobolds. That was, oh, they're not all that many. So that's 7. So there were 7 kobolds. 7 XP each. So wait, what is it? 40? Was that 49? Probably not. 42, excuse me. 42 XP. So kobolds are not worth a lot, but that was probably the very best role-playing moment. They haggled off of trying to figure out whether or not they give them the money first. The kobolds definitely wanted the money first, and they paid all 16 gold coins. Like, how much they got? 16 gold coins. They paid them all 16 gold coins, eventually allowing them to have the gold coins first, and then getting the information about where the elf is held. So the game was actually moving pretty quickly. So they immediately figured out right here that okay, the elf is being held in the guard tower. It's immediately across the entrance from us. So they knew right here. Yes, thank you. 42. I hate doing math on the screen. Yes, thank you. 7 times 7 is 49. I had it right. I hate doing math on screen. So yes, 49 XP. 7 times. Thank you. Yes. But so and that was like, oh, right there, because they had this in front of them. They're like, oh, so the elf lord is in here. So they got that. So they kind of knew where to go, which was good. Like, this game didn't take forever. The game was moving across. Then there was discussion about what to do with the kobolds after they had gotten the information, because one of the boys was like, well, now we could just kill them and take our money back. So there was that discussion about what was going to happen to the kobolds. Now the kobolds had their gold, which was another great role-playing moment. But they ended up deciding that okay, they will just close the door and let the kobolds enjoy their ale that they were drinking here and enjoy their party, and that nobody will tell anybody what's going on. The party won't tell Bone Gnasher that they were bribed or whatever, and the goblins or the kobolds won't tell anybody what's going on there. So yeah, what does this have? Does this actually have alignment on there? Surely it does. Robert says alignment. I didn't really talk much about alignment. In the future, we probably can. I don't remember that being on the card. I don't know where the elf card went, because I probably would have talked about it if I had seen it. Oh, yeah. See, I never even talked about it, because when I went over this character sheet, alignment isn't on it. Interesting. Fighter, dwarf, stats, movement, Thaco, saving throw, damage, armor class, hit points, starting equipment, even on the back. Oh, I guess alignment didn't come up because alignment just isn't on here. So I didn't notice that. No, yeah, so it's not on the pre-gens. AD&D, either version is superior to the present day menagerie factory version, but to each their own. Yeah, so I don't think it was there. So good point. So we didn't even bring up alignment. But so they found out where the elf lord was. So they went right up into so they knew they needed to go this way and to get over here. So they did go into this room. This was a cool room. It was a chapel room with a lizard man shaman who attacks immediately. So they did listen in. They heard the shaman inside hissing, so they were kind of prepared for it. But inside this chapel, they fought a magic user. So how many XP is this? So we have this right, 49. That was 49 up here. So then one shaman. He was worth 65 experience points. For another 65. He cast Cause Fear on Beldar, who was played by the middle nephew. He failed his saving throw and ran away. It says, you are filled with terror and panic. The character runs to the door he came through and cowers until the fight is over. And so I didn't have him do that. I allowed him to have a saving throw every round. There were only 3 of them there. And all of a sudden be out of the fight because, okay, you failed the saving throw, you run away, and then however long it's going to take your brothers to handle the situation, you're going to be out of action. I didn't like that. So when it came around to his turn again, I allowed him to re-roll the saving throws. And again, we were kind of still in the same situation with the low rolls. So I don't remember exactly. He may have ended up being out of the combat anyway. Then the shaman calls light wounds. And I think he failed to connect with his cause light wounds and then went into battle just with whatever his armor class. Okay, it's a bastard sword that he's got. So they fought this guy and they killed him. They went and searched the altar and got some hit points back because actually they would have this allowed them to keep going. Really, I think it was. Yeah, the youngest one who was playing the elf, who had, I think he was down to 1 HP. So the elf was almost dead. And the elf was almost dead, but this says the altar is still a holy place. If a wounded hero touches it, all his wounds are instantly healed. The power of the altar can only be used once. Only the first wounded character is healed. And as it happened, the character who was most wounded, and I think this is when I realized that the other players had more hit points than I thought they had. He touched the altar and then got his hit points back. So that did allow them to keep going, like I was saying, without dying. That was a major factor right there. They search. They have no thief. Inside, they find a... it says, the lizard man hid his treasure in a small chest. So they're very excited right here. The chest is trapped with a poison needle that will prick the fingers of anyone who opens the box. Unless the players say otherwise, assume they were not being careful or looking for traps when they open it. 2 common ways to avoid the trap are the thief can make a find traps check. They don't have a thief. Or the hero can bash the chest open with a sword. They didn't do that. Inside are 18 silver pieces. This might have been the first time they ever encountered silver. So they got out 18 silver pieces with a scroll of the wizard spells, magic missile, and knock on it. And that becomes important. So he had already used his magic missile spell. So he basically gets another magic missile right here, and then also knock. Now, probably he wasn't actually supposed to be able to cast knock, but he does that later on. I didn't think about that because it doesn't say anything about spell level or anything right here in this book. It just says, okay, magic missile and knock. I read him what knock does. Everybody, like, so here's knock. And then actually, I didn't even think about spell level. So they went through and they got that. And then they knew that the guy they are supposed to save is here in number 6 because the kobolds told them that. So they come down, they listen at the door. There is some information that's played. And I remember this. And they figured out what was going on. Taryn is in there locked up being tortured. And so with the it plays them like whipping him and stuff, and he's like crying out, I won't tell you anything, and you got the sound of whips and stuff like that. And so the middle one said, okay, so I think what's going on is that Taryn's in there and he's being tortured, and basically, and so they decide to burst open the door and do everything they can to save Terran. So we do that. They rush in. If they rush in without waiting, go immediately to the fight, below. So inside are 3 hobgoblins. Three hobgoblins. And they only have torture implements, so they don't have their ordinary weapons with them. Hobgoblins are 35 XP each. All right. And they fight them off. Let's see. Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like silver. Like what? What do I do with a silver coin? That's not. They wanted the gold. So we fight off the hobgoblins. I think reasonably dramatically. I think that battle went pretty well. I forgot that they were supposed to like the environmental part. I would often forget about, like with the traps. There was supposed to be a bucket on the floor full of hot coals. The hero or monster can use these burning coals as a weapon by kicking the bucket over into one particular square. That will cause 1 point of damage if they're, any round they are in the squares. The hot coals burn their feet. I forgot about that as that was going. And one of them, that magic missile, might have been used right there again. That scroll. They will use things, and that's good. They don't. They love treasure, but they're willing to use things like scrolls and potions and things like that. Well, anyway, so and then they rescue Terran. They're able to get him out. There's a conversation that you can play through the CD where they talk to Terran, and he says he gives them some important information here. Terran says, "Thank you, my friends. Bless Nethril, that wizard, for sending you. I would lead you to the orb, but my strength has deserted me. All I know is the orb rests behind a magic wall, but I know not where the wall is. Be quick, but beware. Bone Gnasher has 2 wolves for his pets, and many orcs and goblins serve him." So they got this information, which was critical, that the orb is behind, the orb of dragonkind is behind a magic wall. And then Terran leaves. So, he's too wounded to go with them. So he doesn't stay around as an NPC. He gets out of this castle and is trying to go home. And one of them did go, oh no, he's going to encounter the gnoll that got out of here. So they weren't done yet. We've been playing for a while, but they weren't done yet because they know they still had to get the orb out of here. And they make kind of the right choice. They do make the right choice in the direction to go. So there's a door right here that goes into like the underground cavern part of this complex. So they come right around here and go down here outside. So here, right here, is an excavation going on. So the excavation is going on right here. Stray says, I had a player that was a spell turret, aka he would dump out his bag of scrolls to the ground and start scouring through them, looking for the right one in combat or puzzle rooms. A bandolier of scrolls. Yeah, I mean, we may end up. We hadn't talked about creating your own scrolls, but this adventure has been handing out quite a few of them. They come around here to the excavation room, which is 12. And here again, I felt was a combat problem. The area 12 right here. This is the orc mine. Now, there's this thing called key that is in all of these descriptions right here. Because the way that you are supposed to be able to open the magic door. So the magic door is right here. This magic wall right here. They are right there next to it. But technically, they do not have a way to open it. Okay, so read aloud. This room is the key right here is actually a magic key that plays a music when you are close by the magic door. It's like a game of hot and cold. And so anytime you enter if you have this key with you that you can blow, anytime you walk into a new room, you can blow the key And then with the CD, it will give you some sound that the key makes based on your proximity to the door. And then if you blow that in the area with the magic door, it opens. But this says, we'll talk more about that in just a moment, because they don't have that. The orc mines, it says, this room is very strange. Once it must have been a cellar dug into the side of the hill, but now it looks more like a mine. The walls and floor are all dug up, and wooden beams are wedged into them to keep the ceiling from collapsing. In a dark corner of the room, a group of 5 orcs is digging pits into the floor. The orcs are busy digging and not paying attention to anything else. The heroes can spy on the orcs as they dig. One of them, who appears to be the leader, says to the rest, "Ho there, work harder, you mangy dogs," as he cracks his whip. "Get to it, you scum." So there was discussion about what to do here. So the orcs are digging over here in this corner, and our heroes are coming around this direction right here, and they see and they listen in on the orcs. The game gives you a couple of different things you can do. You can try to sneak by the orcs, especially if you're wearing like costumes or materials you got from the armory. You can try to sneak past the orcs, and if you're wearing like the garb of whatever you found in the armory, they don't really bother you. And then you can go into other parts of this. And of course, they didn't even go into this part of the castle. So they came around, they listened, and ultimately they decide to rush the orcs. They're looking around. They decide to rush the orcs. And here's where I wish I had not had the to hit rolls again. So they decide, okay, we're going to surprise them. We're also going to run into battle against these orcs. There was a lot of orcs. The battle did end up going better than it could have. Oh, one thing I did as well, when they were searching here for when they were searching the hobgoblins who were torturing Terran, what kind of treasure was in there? Number 6. Maybe there wasn't a whole lot in here. So there was, okay, so maybe there wasn't a whole lot in here. And as I was skimming by here, I was like, hey, so what kind of stuff is there that the hobgoblins have? They never searched, because they didn't search the kobolds. I gave them the treasure that was with the kobolds. So the kobolds had with them, if the heroes searched the kobolds, they found 25 silver pieces and 10 gold pieces in one kobold's belt. I guess if you killed them all. Hidden beneath a bundle on the floor is a potion of healing. If the heroes make a deal before searching, the kobolds will howl about being robbed. The potion of healing is described on page 28. So what I did is I gave the treasure from the kobolds to the hobgoblins. So they got another 25 silver pieces, 10 gold pieces, and 1 potion of healing. So I gave them the potion of healing there, since it was in there, but they did a good job with the kobolds, let them live. Because I think that was a reasonably difficult fight, but it played well with the kobolds. The problem is, see, I was like, what does the potion of healing do? Mike says, doesn't the elf get a chance to know there's a magic or hidden room now, or am I thinking of a different game? No, that would be here. That's what should have that's what could have happened here. What happened to the elf character that I had? Did he go over here? Oh, he went over here. I'm not sure if it mentions anything about that on this. This might not be in the intro rules. Making a saving throw, each fighter level, casting spells, experience points. Oh, it does. Actually, it does right here. Elves can find secret doors twice as easily as humans, 1 or 2 on a d6 roll. That's kind of in small. It's not really drawn out as a big special power or anything like that, but that does say that on the back right there. The problem was when that said, hey, the potion of healing is on page 28. This was, again, some bad organization right over here. So I went over to the player's handbook. I was like, okay, page 28. Like, just give me Oh, it's in Potion of Healing on page 28 on the introduction to the Monstrous Manual. Oh, okay. So I was like, just give me the information. Just tell me. And it's a potion of healing. Ultimately, I rolled it was a 2d4 plus 2, which I think is pretty standard potion of healing. But I was like, okay, on page 28, I'm, trying to do this correctly. But I was like, okay, so this is the player's handbook. Okay, so the potion's not in there. It's in the Monstrous Manual. Okay, so that's page 28. I'm thinking, please just tell me what this does. But here, page 28, there is no potion of healing on page 28. And that's when I just made the call. Okay, so it's 2d4 plus 2. We'll just do that. But, so problem here again with organization. Treasure list includes potions, elixir of health. This elixir cures blindness, deafness, disease, insanity, and mental weakness, infection, and rot. It also gets rid of parasites that cures poison and cures poison if the poison has not already caused points of damage yet. This does not get back hit points for any reason. Okay, so that's not it. That's elixir of health, not potion of healing. I got fire resistance, flying, giant strength. Oh, look, healing. Okay, it is here. Okay, so it was right. I take that back. But in the midst of the game, I couldn't find potion of healing. But it actually is right there. Drinking this potion heals 2d4 plus 2 points of damage immediately. Okay, that's how I called it. But I don't understand why you wouldn't just put 2d4 plus 2 right there rather than saying, hey, go get out another book. Try to figure out what this potion of healing does. Keep stuff together, I think. I understand only writing something once, but this is supposed to be the game master's reference here. So, so they did have an extra potion of healing with them as they went into the mines. So they charged the orcs. And I decided that since the orcs are, busy and they're not really expecting battle, that, give them a surprise round. Give them a surprise round. So they're just going to charge out and try to each take out one of the orcs. There might have been 4, but, each target an orc as they're coming in. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give you a surprise round and basically a free round of attacks. The next time I do this, I'm going to skip the attack roll and allow them. Okay, if you're going to get the drop on these guys like this, you decide to do this and you got it, then go ahead and go straight to roll to damage because, of course, they roll it. They come in with their plan of, all right, we're just going to surprise the orcs, run in charging and yelling. Everybody rolls to hit. Everybody misses the orcs. That was a really lame way for their surprise attack to go. The orcs again also missed. No. No, because it was a surprise. So I said, everybody missed. I was like, well, that sucks. In retrospect, next time that happens, I'm going to allow them to just immediately roll to damage. The orcs' backs are turned. They're engaged in other things. Rather than a free attack as you're coming in screaming, just go ahead and roll damage. I think that's what should have happened. That way you could soften these guys up. And then the next turn, roll to hit. But they miss all of their attacks coming in. And then, all right, normal attack rolls. And they miss all of that as well. Michael says clerics could make them with a skill roll and materials. Oh, yeah. You're talking about scrolls? Yeah. And I think it costs XP too. It wasn't a lot. I don't think I ever made a scroll in AD&D, but I do remember doing that in 3rd edition. Licking things up in the heat of the game is very easy to overlook things. So, yeah, I'm glad. I thought I remembered that being correct. But, yeah, just put it right there in front of you. If it's designed to run the game with. But anyway, and then they miss all of their regular attacks as well. So then they go in to fight the orcs in a more ordinary fashion. So that was 5 orcs, but ultimately they did well. I think they had to use the potion of healing. But yeah, it sure would have been nice if they had just auto damaged some orcs on the way in if they surprised them like that. I wish I had done that in retrospect. The surprise, and that goes with better combat. I want better combat. Surprise round sucked. It sucked. But nonetheless, okay, once the orcs are dead, there is something from the CD that's played. And it's something like, the heroes check out the wall where the orcs were digging and notice there are no marks on the wall at all. So that was actually from the CD. There's more to it in the CD where they're like, you're hearing the characters search around, and they're like, man, I'm looking at this wall here, and there are no markings on the wall. And I don't think they picked up on that first. So I went back and I played that again because they started to do something else. I was like, they said something about the wall, and I was like, hold on, listen again, listen to what the CD says. And so I played that part of the CD again, and then immediately they picked up on that. Oh, the orcs are digging here, and yet there's no marks on this. And we were told the orb of dragonkind is behind a magic wall. And so they were like, oh, and even the oldest one was like, okay, so they're telling us this is the magic wall without telling us this is the magic wall. So we found what we need to do. How can you open that? And then the youngest one goes, knock. He goes, how are we going to open this magic? How are we going to open this? And he had just found the knock scroll, 2 rooms back or something like that, 3 rooms back. So that was in his mind. And the youngest one goes, I cast knock. And so I thought that was a great use of that spell, even though they should not have been able to use it, I think, because it's a 2nd level spell. Why would I give him the knock spell and read exactly what is, what it does, and then basically have exactly the situation where, where you would use knock, and he figures it out, and then go, oh, no, you can't actually cast that right now because that's a 2nd level spell and you're a 1st level character. Yeah, so the youngest one figured that out. So obviously, I'm going to let knock work. And as it happened to be the case, the middle one actually had a basketball practice that he was going to go to. So I told him we were only going to play the game for 2 or 2.5 hours. And so we were basically right there. The key, like what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to blow that whistle key right by that, and then that unlocks the door, and then you go into the place with the orb of dragonkind. But the that key thing that you can blow is on the belt of the ogre, and the ogre is over here someplace. It might be over here, but whatever. So the ogre's on the other side of the castle. So they never even encountered the ogre. They happened to go in the right direction. Points for figuring out exactly where Terran was by talking to the kobolds. And then, heading as it happened in the right direction over here to get over here, and then knock spell that works. So door opened. You can tell them that you're going to change that in the future. It teaches them about the differences between rules and rulings. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I mean, XP bonus. Oh, so orcs. Wait a minute. Let me write down what is the orc XP here. Orcs. There were 5 orcs at 15. And then we played there was a CD, some music and some stuff that occurred when you opened up this area 13. And so he uses knock. The door opens. A secret door grinds open to reveal a cold gray stone room thick with dust. The door swings open. 2 torches in the wall mysteriously light. Nothing has disturbed this room for ages, not even spiders. A mummified body sits on the stone throne at the back of the room. As the heroes, so this is part of what's, they gave you a little summary of what was on the CD. As the heroes watch the secret door open, they hear an undead voice. It says, "Who dares disturb the rest of King Damara?" Then undead shadows begin to attack. So these 2 torches lit up on the wall. And then I described that how when the torches light up, you see the shadows behind you flicker and they come to life. So there are 2 shadows in here, which are pretty bad. Where's Shadow? Yeah, Shadow. 2 shadows here. Thaco 17, armor class 7, but they drain strength. On a hit, they drain 1 point of strength. Yeah. Damage 1d4 plus, damage is 1d4 plus 1 drain of 1 point of strength per touch. Saving throw 16, immune to sleep, charm, and hold spells, etc. But they are also hurt only by +1 or better magic weapons, which they don't have. They don't have any magic weapons. Friend kept the key as a signal whistle for later games, and I loved it. Oh, you played through this one? Michael says, I bet the designer planted that knock spell for just that reason. It could be. It could be. It's strange that it is second level. We confirmed that, right? Hey, thank you for being around. Talk to you later, Titterpig. Yeah, so they went in with no magic weapons. So this was a problem. But they figured it out because the shadows are created by the torches. So I described that, there are shadows coming to life behind them as the torches came on, the shadows appeared behind them, 2 of them, and then came to life. Hey, Scenes. Yes. This is a lot of people probably have a lot of memories of this one. They attacked. The combat did not last long, and this was the first combat that we played where we didn't put any kind of miniatures on the board. And I don't even know if they noticed. I don't even think they noticed that. It just was seamless, and we went right into it because this little secret door area right here is not actually something that's on the player's map. It's out in front of them. So this was what happened here. Inside here was all narrative of the mind, and I bet they didn't even notice. It just went seamlessly in. Somebody did try to attack the shadow. Okay, I attacked the shadow, but missed the attack roll. I forget exactly how it went down, but one person attacked. They missed the attack roll, so there was nothing that would have clued them into that required +1 magic weapons to hit. And then somebody, I think it was the oldest one, that said, I think we need to let's extinguish the torches. And it says in here that you spend 1 round, it takes 1 round to extinguish a torch. And if you do that, then that causes one of the shadows to go away. For the heroes to defeat the shadows, they must either use magic on the monsters. So I don't think they had any more like magic missile. But how many hit points do these things have anyway? 18 and 16. Okay, so you're not going to take them out at level 1 with the magic missile anyway. So you can only either use magic on the monsters or put out the torches. Putting out the torches is the easier choice. A hero can put out 1 torch. A hero can put out 1 torch in a round. If everyone in the group does this, make a note and give the group 100 bonus experience points at the end of the adventure for quick thinking. Oh, okay. So they get 100 bonus points for that. If anyone in the group does this, make a note to give the group 100 bonus points. So plus 100 for torches. But because I guess that also means the shadows are defeated. So, and I think he figured that out because then somebody else attacked and made the attack roll. It was the middle nephew who was playing Beldar. He hit. Okay, you hit the shadow, but I described you hit something. Clearly, what should have hit the shadow, the blade goes right through it, strikes the wall, and the shadow moves through your blade unharmed. Something like that. So they knew they should have hit, and whoops, no damage. So that's when I think the oldest one said, we got to extinguish these torches. And then there was 1 hit that was on him. He was playing Devlar, the dwarf. He takes some damage, and he takes the strength damage. One of them extinguishes the torch, and then there's the hit that does the strength damage, and the next round they're able to extinguish the second torch. And so that was it. So they got it. Magic missile of the darkness, right? Yeah. So that went very well. So and these things actually have a lot of experience. So they defeated 2 of these shadows. So 2 shadows for 420 each. We'll calculate that, plus 100 for extinguishing the torches. And then they search. And then we ended up with some issues. So and then they search for treasure. And inside, well, I'll tell you what they find. It says they found 450 gold pieces. There are 3 clay jars at the base of the throne. And here's the picture of the mummified King Dharma right here. There are 450 gold pieces in these jars, a magic ring of protection +1, and a scroll with the spells Fireball and Slow. And it was actually at this point that I started to remember that, oh yeah, I think they're supposed to be, they need to actually identify the magic items. So maybe he wasn't supposed to know that that was a knock spell, but surely, like, I'm not a big fan of like having to read magic or something, and I'm not sure if that spell is even in the intro game here. So when they were encountering the potion of healing, they just knew it was a potion of healing. That scroll that had the knock and the extra magic missile on it, he just knew. At this point, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't be telling them exactly what they are, especially if it was a magic sword or something. This sword feels light, especially sharp, whatever, but not just tell them +1 weapon. But this is also basically the end of the adventure. I mean, they return to town at the end of this. So there's a magic ring of protection +1. There is kind of a fight. My brother walks in. He was at work. So my brother comes in basically here at the end to hear the boys trying to figure out who gets what. Yeah, it did. It only took one clue from the key. Yeah. And see, that's my favorite parts that Michael says, Mike M says that was the key was how you described that shot. Yeah, and that figured that out. So yeah, to me, that was role playing kind of at its finest right there. So that worked very well. Scroll spells with fireball and slow. So we saw that he had fireball and slow written there. Fireball and slow, but again, those are higher level spells. The mummified body is the remains of King Dharma. It is not an undead creature and cannot hurt the party. The youngest one was trying to put the magic ring on, so I didn't tell him what it was, and was like trying to touch the mummy and see if something happened or whatever. I was like, yeah, so but nothing happens. In his bony lap is a shield +1. So they also got a shield +1, and under it is the orb of dragon kind. A crystal ball. The orb will not work for the heroes. They don't know the secret commands to operate it. This was getting close to the time when we were having, I mean, this worked out perfectly as well because this was right at the end. We're like, okay, we need to start cleaning up because the middle one has to get to a basketball game, which my brother, or basketball practice, which my brother is the coach for his team. And they basically sorted up treasure. We went back to the town. I think they were disappointed. This was probably not like we were trying to wrap up. So clearly they wanted to turn into a dragon. And when the heroes return the orb to Nethril, who says, he says, well done, brave heroes. You have carried out your mission and saved Terran's life. I'm proud to reward you with the gold you were promised. You have made the land safe for townsfolk and travelers again, Terran said. Oh, and thank you, my friends. Terran adds, oh, and thank you, my friends. You have saved my life. So the player, when the heroes give the orb back, which I didn't role play that part because we were right here at the end. When they hand the orb to Nethril, he casts a spell that destroys it right in front of their eyes. Better to destroy it than let it fall into evil hands. So they don't end up with an orb that allows them to turn into a dragon. And come to think of it, thinking back on this, I think they were sorting out the treasure right here based on the idea that one of them would get the orb of dragon kind. The fighter mage should have gotten fireball and slow, but they did make an agreement, and which he did, but they made an agreement that when they identify the ring and find out what it does, they will give it to the player that needs it most. And it is a ring of protection +1. And you know, you might say, okay, so the fireball and slow go to the fighter wizard. We'll give the shield +1. That was taken by the dwarf, and then give the ring of protection to the fighter, the middle one. But the youngest one kind of took the fireball and slow. It was like, wait, hey, these are scrolls, so they go to me. And then they did make an agreement that okay, I'll take the ring. The middle child will take the orb of dragon kind, and the oldest one will take the shield +1. But then the middle child did get his orb of dragon kind destroyed, so he didn't get to use that. So maybe we should send the ring of protection over to the middle one. Although, like I said, they did make the agreement. Okay, when we find out what this ring does, we're going to give it to the one who needs it the most. And yes, technically, the one who needs it the most is the fighter wizard, played by the youngest boy, because he can't wear armor and has an armor class of 10. So, from that perspective, yeah, the fighter wizard should probably be wearing the ring of protection. Hey, Devlin says AD&D started my foray into role playing. Me too. It was my earliest one. That's why I wanted to play. There was no way I was going to play 5th edition with the boys, or especially the current version. You know, like I'm not going that route. I got all these things that were memories from our playing. I was like, man, this is it. Yeah, I agree. Michael says magic users should be able to tell generally what kind of spells are on a scroll, especially when you've got like you have to take a spell slot or something to read magic or something. That's discussed a lot. I agree. I don't like that. Conflict resolution. Yeah. Or they could have rolled for it. Yeah. So we'll have a discussion about the treasure and that kind of stuff. Now, of course, we didn't get to do like purchasing stuff because in the town, uh, then we packed up. It was like two or 2.5 hours. It went real well. There are places for them to spend their money so they can go and get some other stuff in the town of Freedale right here. Uh, So I need to calculate the experience over here, as I'm interested to know if they leveled up. I have no idea. I'm curious. Are we running level 1 again? I kind of hope. I like low levels, especially since they have more hit points than I was expecting them to have. I think it's okay for us to play another game at level 1. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic adventure. I mean, I like that. We've talked about that quite a bit here on this channel. That Yes, I mean, I used to play a lot. I guess we all did, like, all night, you know? So, we're playing, like, 12 and 14-hour games of, Dungeons& and Dragons, and yes, all been there. Not really practical for me today with other adults, like, getting together. We've talked about this so often, like, we need good adventures that can be run in 2 to 2.5 hours, 3-hour session, 3-hour game session. You got some prep time, you got some takedown time, but basically you're running a really great game in 2.5 hours. And that certainly was this. And like, how many rooms did they go into? If you don't count like where they lined up in the start, they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. How many times do you talk about like the 5-room dungeon or something? Right. Michael says rogues get a skill to read magic. Why not mages? Right. Um, um, Yeah, I think they do need to role play that. But at any rate, that was 5 rooms. So oftentimes, like how long would it have taken to go through all this? I was really glad that we didn't have to go up here and okay, we'll have to break and come back to this later. They did exactly what they were supposed to do in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. I think the 5-room dungeon format is a really good one because that was a great adventure that was played in 2.5 hours and it was 5 different rooms. Yeah, as a kid with other kids and nothing to do, at, but time and imagination for 8 hours of gaming was not uncommon. As adults, hard to do. Um, well, I guess it's technically. I mean, I guess depending on how you want to look at this. I mean, the 6th room would be the special room right here, zone number 13. So, but 5, 6 rooms to me, I think a great strategy is to pack as much energy and fun into about 5, 6 rooms, something like that, as you possibly can. And that's a good adventure. We didn't do any kind of, role playing getting to the adventure site. And in fact, it even tells you not to do that in this intro to D&D. Just go straight to the castle. And then we didn't do anything like, random encounters, anything with them trying to get back to the town. So it was very much just about the site. But my favorite parts were the non-combat. Talking in here, negotiating with the Knoll who was injured right here, or letting him go. What's going to happen to him? Talking to the kobolds over here. This was a more straightforward combat encounter, but it included magic. This one was also just generally combat. This one should have been more interesting because the rushing in and trying to get the drop on these orcs. And then over here, this was one of my favorites because they did figure out the shadow thing. So my least favorite parts were anytime anybody is just throwing D20s and trying to do combat and missing. Okay, what are we trying to do? We're just trying to take HP off of other characters. That was by far the worst part. Like this combat worked. I mean, these 2 combat I think worked pretty well, but by far, it worked because the most fun parts were the parts where we weren't doing just combat all the time. 5 or 6 rooms is a whole hours-long game of Hero Quest. Yeah, you can design all of this, at 30 rooms, but well, it makes me want the combat to be better because I mean I'm not against that. I mean I like the adventure games like Hero Quest. I mean obviously I played Hero Quest tons and tons and tons. So I guess when people talk about like the combat is war or combat versus as sport or something like that, I mean I do want them to fight and have a good time. And the fights to be exciting. I love the mix. but like I want like that combat with the gnoll or the to be just as exciting as the negotiation with the gnolls or the kobolds. So I got to fix that. I got to fix that in some way. Let me look at this XP list. So this does say, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, it should be more meaningful, and I that was the biggest thing that that was the biggest disappointment to me as I came back and played this, because it was a whole bunch of fun. And my brother did text me later and said the boys were talking about it, and I was like, okay, good. I'm glad they had fun. I'm glad they enjoyed it. You know, I was still kind of rusty on some things, running and things like that. And then, okay, did they really enjoy it? Apparently they did. I think we can make it even better. Yeah, I know. It would be cool if they could derive satisfaction from combat as well as non-combat parts of the game. TSL Frontman says often the problem isn't social or combat; it's bad, but that blending them is hard, and so one is executed better than the other. But you know, there's so many more rules in this for combat than the social interaction. Let's see here. Okay, so we got what's my total here? Is my phone over here? Oh yeah. Okay, so let me tally all of this up. So we got 70 XP, 49 XP, 65 XP, 105. Orc's only worth 15 experience points. 75. 2 shadows, 840. Those are the big ticket items, plus 100 for the bonus thinking about the torch. So that's 70 plus 49 plus 65 plus 105 plus 75 plus 840 plus 100. So this adventure was worth 1,304 experience points. Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. Michael says, so you should have a Zoom meeting with them after your total their points. If they leveled up, you can work on upgrading the characters. This is their first downtime. Now I think, yeah, we could talk. I could do some kind of downtime with them. Could tell them like what's in the town for them to spend their money on if they want to upgrade something. So I think. Now, do I divide that or do I give that to everybody? Experience points. And of course, it's more complicated because this is a fighter wizard right here. So I'm gonna have to talk to him about what that means being a fighter wizard. Let's see, what experience points? Plus the XP for the gold reward at the end. Yeah, okay, let's find that out. Especially in this intro. Money, equipment, character level, and experience points. So what it has is here on page 10. Characters have levels. The higher the level, the better. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We know that. This goes up to 5th level. So this game goes up to 5th level. Then it says, hey, go over to the main player's handbook for up to 20th level. Wait, what? That's basically no information. Maybe the information I'm looking for is supposed to be over here in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is like the adventure book. Oh, experience points. Okay, it says experience points right here. It says now you must give out experience points. Add up the experience points earned for each monster defeated. This is the number of experience points each hero gets. Have the players write down their experience points. It's their job to keep track of these. Remind them to check and see if they have earned enough points for their hero to advance to the next level. If any have the player roll for additional hit points for his hero and add these to his total. So that just says add up the experience points earned for each monster. This is the number of experience points each hero gets. So that just says that doesn't talk about a treasure bonus. Are you going to do any blue booking with them? Keep them in game while not at the table? Oh, I don't know. I might not be able to do that. Yeah, I don't remember that. See, I don't remember that from second edition. Yeah, so that seems to be the case. Okay, so that also, like, all right, so now what did that actually happen to them? I kind of would want that to be on this card right here. So I do have information about different levels, but maybe that is in this player's handbook. Although right there by experience, it didn't tell me anything. This book does have like a little bit of information on creating characters. You can create characters with this book. Is this going to be in character? Creating a character? I was mentioning something about organization. Okay, so right here. So fighters experience points under 2,000. Okay, so they're still level 1, or the fighters. The 2 fighters are, and a wizard is 2,500. Okay, so I got to figure it. I got to divide the experience points. So we're going to be playing level 1 again. Okay, so that's good. That's good. So they'll have, it looks like 2 adventures at level 1. Actually, come to think of it, I mean, as little of that dungeon had they explored, I guess they would have gotten to level 2 if they had gone through all, 12 of those rooms or something, but they didn't. So they got in, they got out, and they got more than halfway to level 2. So that's pretty good. So that's how we will be. This says right here, your character earns experience points. This is the fighter wizard. Your character earns experience points for defeating monsters and doing clever things. When the character gets enough experience points, they gain a level. The number of points needed is shown on the table on the other side. Silverleaf is a multi-class fighter wizard. This means that he is a fighter and a wizard at the same time. While he has lots of good abilities, he gains levels very slowly. Silverleaf must divide all of his experience points, giving one half to his fighter class and the other half to his wizard class. So I am sure that the youngest one did not know all about that when he picked this one, because we didn't go into, multi-class. But that's important. I mean, he's got this one's got a lot of neat abilities. Now his weakness is he's a fighter, but he can't wear armor. So in that sense, he does need the +1. Yeah, we'll probably talk about all that later. The next time we play. So he has. He's going to be leveling slowly. 1304 divided by 2. So 652 in both of his classes. All right. Let's see. Yeah, at first, Gygax would award XP alongside of gold pieces, and eventually XP became the sole leveling currency. At first, when XP was introduced. Maybe they can apply that XP to a new character if they make it you want to take them through that process. Not right now. I don't think we'll. No. No, wait, don't divide those XP. No. So every character gets. No, what I'm talking about is that the fighter wizard has to divide. Yeah, they could go back. So I did mention that. At first, I was like, so you could go back. The monsters are still a threat to the locals. So that's one thing they could do. And I told them that. And at first, they were like, why? Why would I go and do that? And I was like, well, you didn't get to the ogre. The ogre is still out there. So actually, I was thinking about ways to go forward here because I do like, I mean, we could return to that castle, but I kind of want them to play the next one, which I also remember, which is on the back. It's like a haunted house. Information on the town of Freedale right here. So this has stuff they can buy and stuff right here. Town of Freedale. The Ghost of Harrow Hill. Yeah. So then they're going to go on to the next one is this ghost which I remember playing this one too, and it being kind of creepy. So I want to play up the creepiness of that. So I might send them over here to this the Ghost of Harrow Hill first. But then I was thinking that you could come back because they didn't kill the kobolds, so the kobolds are still out there, and they know that they were thieves in the castle. I'm thinking that Bone Gnasher, the ogre, rather than just having it be something that's static, that okay, you want to go back and kill the ogre and everything else that was in there and try to clear that out, have it do something a bit more dynamic, like have them, maybe they'll go and investigate this haunted house, but then later when they come back, the ogre has realized that somebody was in his castle and has taken the orb of dragonkind, and maybe the ogre needs to attack the town. And then you re-encounter like the knoll that they let go. Maybe in this case, the knoll is like an ally and is thankful for being allowed to let go. And maybe the reason that the ogre knows who it was is because the kobolds have been forced to talk. So rather than just going right back and trying to clean it out, I think using it kind of as a dynamic environment would be a better way to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So that's what I'm thinking. So I do want to. I also want to kind of improve initiative. I had them start rolling for initiative, but we didn't do initiative in kind of like the 5th edition or the AD&D way with like sides or something like that. We could have. I was going to do something more complex with initiative, but I just went with actually I just had them just rolling a die and then gave initiative order out. But I really want to do a card-based initiative. Something that I have been working on for an idea that I've had in the back of my mind when, the chaos of combat, we just have a deck of cards. I started off also trying to get them to tell me what they were going to do and then do initiative, but that kind of went by the wayside. So I want to improve combat next time. Yeah. So it looks like there's a fine setup for an adventure where their actions have consequences. And I want them, I do want those to be poisonous. I want them to be positive consequences for like not having killed the kobolds and having a friend in the either a friend in the kobolds or something like that, so that it's not like, oh, we didn't kill those guys and now the ogre's after us. I don't want that. So they need to have some positive consequences for that, for not just butchering the kobolds. Get yourself a multi-pack of blank playing cards and nice markers, and they can make their own. I have that, and I meant to take that with me to the game last time, but I forgot, and I'm not sure where they're sitting. So yeah, I've got some, and I should still have some more blank cards and take some Sharpie markers and do like initiative cards and things like that before trying to like lay something on the computer. So yeah, I've got that, and if I don't have that, I need to order some. I think they're in that drawer, but we'll see. All right. Well, that was a long one today, but that's okay. So that was fun. So that was my report, and that's my thinking on trying to take the boys through Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me this morning. I'm going to go try to get work done here. Oh, PH just came in. This is a good one, PH. You want to catch up on it. All right. I am out of here. I'm going to go do work. Later, everybody. Go forth, be constructive, and be creative. Later, everybody.